Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final preseason evaluation session for the SRS GT3 series. I am the main host and commentator for today's evaluation session, S_RDZ, and I'm joined by a very special guest here to the team, my fellow Speed Demon Motorsports teammate in the hands of SDM Carbon R, formerly known as Silent Attack, or for a better term, you can call him Eric. Eric, welcome to the live stream, man. It's always good, and it's a very special honor for me to introduce you because we've been, I'd say, teammates for the past 7 months now, and it's good to see you in the commentary box with me today. How you doing, mate?
Good, thank you very much for having me on here today. It's going to be a blast, I can tell, and I can't wait to get it started.
And as a special courtesy term for a lot of people, Eric, as a matter of fact, is Australian. And Eric, would you tell the viewers of what time it is in your part of the world?
It's currently bang on 4 o'clock in the morning. I've not had any sleep, so let's go.
I assume you are in the party, or not the party, the lobby with me. I think you should be able to join.
I am. Yes.
Okay, so going on board on track, we've got a couple of guys who have not set some time. So this is the final session. So of course, this is the time for people to get their final times in and be able to determine which tier they can enter. As one of our drivers, I think, is having a pit glitch issue, so I think unfortunately that will have to be the case. So we'll go up and down the order for you. We got Doug Barrow in one of the Costa Racing Speed Demon Motorsports Mercedes AMG GT3s in the very special number 13 car right there. Of course, pay attention a little bit deeper, you'll be able to see some of the Speed Demon Motorsports logos on that car. So technical alliance with the Speed Demon Motorsports team. Of course, I'm very excited to have them on board for this program as well, as addition to Hair Razor in 4th place right there as well. Then we'll go on board with the number 8. I believe the number 7 or the number 8, I can't tell, but it's the J8 Racing of James Head, and he's looking very excited to get this season of GT3 action aboard and going here thus far. I am going to go turn it to the live streams here while I got the chance.
I have to say, that is an absolutely gorgeous livery on James's Porsche.
It's very simple, but it is very gorgeous. I do like that car as well.
That is more. Very much.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. So let's take a look at the live stream here. Sharon Palmer saying, yay, welcome to the stream, Sharon Palmer. And then we also got Matt Finnan, says, good luck to everyone. Cheers, Matt. Of course, this is an evaluation session, but we do have our flagship GT3 series, 2 tiers of racing, 30 drivers total will take part. We got the first tier, the second tier first up, and then we got the tier 1, the faster set of drivers to take part in the first G round of the season of 9 races here at and I don't remember off the top of my head where we are going, so of course someone can correct me on that note as well. But let's go up and down the order while we can. We got the number 24 of S&M Palmer in the Cymax camp for the Mercedes AMG. They've got about 4 total different brands of cars here that are going to be running in this championship. You got Porsche, you got Nissan, you got Audi, and you got Mercedes here. And a couple of guys, of course, not being able to hear. Of course, one of the Audis that we saw in the hands of Ure, the leading candidate for that team right there. And I think that's going to be the team to look out for because they're going to be certainly leading that Cymax effort. And they've come out with a strong list of drivers, including Ure, and then like we saw last week with Swift right there. And I think we're going to have ourselves a very, very interesting championship season nonetheless, Eric.
Absolutely, some very talented drivers behind the wheels here, so it's going to make for some very interesting racing, and hopefully we'll have a hell of a show on our hands.
And what's going to be interesting of note is that, we did have a disconnect from one of our drivers in the hands of Bar27, so hopefully he can rejoin back. But here's the catch. I've got 2 previous seasons of past seasons of watching a lot of these guys drive their hearts out, and Palmer has definitely shown the racecraft. He's definitely improved on his racecraft. Of course, in the previous GT3 series that we did in another league, he got 4th in that one. Of course, a couple of drivers, including Gere and Swift, were better of that. Now he's on the same team as those guys, so hopefully he can pass. Hopefully those 2 drivers can give Palmer a bit of resume experience as well. And you've also got the previous Ferrari season that, of course, I won't go into too much detail about. That's where Palmer clinched the championship there. So hopefully, with a GT3 championship to his belt, that gives him a load of confidence, and especially with the Cymax crew, they're looking to expand on Palmer. Of course, he's a very young age, and he's got a lot of rising talent, and he's got a big career ahead of him, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And we've also got a couple of new guys as well into this SRS GT3 series. Well, one of them being SE Quabales, who I believe is is in the KRT/SE group with JCow. I hope I said that correctly. Speed Eagles Aston Martin V12 Vantage GT3, the screaming 6-liter V12 in the mountainous region of Lake Maggiore for this Lago
What a
Maggiore.
gorgeous livery. The blue and red split down the middle by the black. Absolutely striking combo.
I do love the abstract kind of livery. Kind of reminds me of what we do at the Speed Motorsports camp as well. Has that very sinister kind of look to it. Where we have the kind of the really abstract camo, this is just a straight red, black, and blue livery. I see that car being well up, and hopefully that car is as quick as it looks today, and it's certainly up there. Only about a 55.6, where Palmer with a 55.1. These two are looking very, very strong here early in the running. And also to go down the order once again, we've also got Ryra, who's also in another Audi. This driver is very, very quick. There's no doubt about that. He can turn a couple of blind eyes in that Audi R8. I think he's in the number 6 Audi, I believe, in that Petronas sponsored, of course, taking some inspiration with the Mercedes. That's also got a very eye-catching livery as well. What would you say, Eric?
It very much does so. The white Mercedes of Doug Barrow is absolutely gorgeous with the black stripes coming down to the hood.
I believe that is a livery that he did create himself. That was something that I wasn't part of, but it's just, like I said, very, very eye-catching livery as well. And I think it has some resemblance to, I think, one of our previous Speed Motorsports teammates. I'm not 100% sure, but of course the striking livery as well. We've got James Head as well with the white and tealish kind of Porsche. Also got Hairraiser, who is also in the same kind of livery format as Doug Barrow, but instead with the kind of the darkish black, you got this very nice chrome blue with the white. It looks very, very spectacular, and I do like it myself.
It really does. It reminds me of some of the old JGTC touring cars, the way it's been done. Sort of like, you know, the old Loctite and the Ray Brick NSXs and GTRs. It's a very striking combination. It really pops.
Just a quick comment to the YouTube chat. Neil Palmer saying, "Go on, Palmer." Palmer doing an absolutely fine job in that Mercedes-AMG GT3 with a 55.160 as the time to beat here today. Of course, not as quick as some of our Session 1 times, which we were dipping into the 53s, and then T5 Black with the Corvette in Session 2 just completely wiping the field with his remarkable pace. He's looking a very strong contender for the Team Simcat Racing guys in that session. We'll take a look down to 7th place where we got Bo Fishadara in I believe the 88 Corvette in the Parmalat livery. I'm having a difficult time saying that. I believe that is from the Tyrrells, if I'm correct. I think you know a bit more on that, Eric, if you can correct me real quickly.
I'm not 100% sure myself, but I do have to say I absolutely love the black and white combo on that Corvette.
Yeah, it's definitely taken some inspiration from the Parmalat liveries that we've seen in the Formula 1 cars. Not sure on the exact team, but I'm pretty confident it is the Tyrrell guys. As Doug Barrow in the background goes into the pits. Looks like Bo Fishadara finally getting his connection issues a bit fixed. We've also got a surprise appearance in the hands of the 66 Savage Mercedes-AMG GT3 Viper, a very, very quick contending driver, and he's certainly showing a lot of pace over his coming days, and good enough for third fastest with a 55.8.
Oh, what a time, what a time. Very, very capable hands behind the wheel of that car. Hopefully we should see some good driving.
Yeah, he's definitely shown a bit of pace right now. I've heard from a couple of the admins on the SRS, he's just on the teetering edge of Tier 1 and Tier 2. He might be, I think, better suited to go into Tier number 2, because if he's not going to be quick enough for Tier 1, he would certainly have a very, very good showing in the second tier, of course.
Absolutely.
And so now we're just going about 10 minutes down on the clock. We're going to take a look at down the times real quick while we got the chance. It is still Palmer in front for the Simax crew. I think it's the only Simax car we've got in this final session here today, with the 155.1. And of course, a couple of laps later, he's only had a 203, 159, and 158. So he's had a couple ups and downs with this car, but he's had some good one-lap pace, but I think he's got to have the right consistency. That was a better exit out of those S's right there. They got SE Quabales, who's actually just coming into the pits right now for some fresh tires, and I believe to go back straight on that same fuel load, and indeed he excuse me, he will. Viper now off the first lap, comes off in third with the 66, and then James Head in the Porsche, of course, him being previously in the Lexus RCF GT3s, as well as the Nissan GTRs and the Ferrari GT3 as well, getting some new mid-engine experience with the Porsche 911 GT3 RSRs. These cars are very, very track capable, and I'll tell you what, Eric, I've seen these cars at Watkins Glen in 2019. They sound absolutely gorgeous, and they will
don't they just? They sound absolutely just. They get into your rib cage and just let you know, hey, I'm here and I'm going to put on the show.
I forgot to mention as well that these cars were also at the Daytona 24 Hours in 2017. I was actually also at that race as well. And those cars, when they fired up for the first time, they made a showing of pressure as well. And they came to play, of course. And I believe this is the exact trim model that I did see at 2017 with those split wide, those split open exhausts, and the 2019 version had those exhausts pretty much right next to each other as well. So they make a lot of noise, and that's what the Porsches like to do with those 40-liter flat sixes. Go back down the order a little bit, where we got Rai covering into the top 5 with his Audi R8. Ooh, a little bit too much on the curbing right there. He's taking a lot of curbing with that Audi. Oh, he's on the jagged edge of grip right there. He's really
giving it everything he's got behind that. Wow. That young man is on a mission for a top 3 place, I think, in this little shootout.
Well, we'll see right here. He's going to be on a hot lap right now. So he's just coming off his out lap. He's got a 56.443. It's about 1.3 seconds off the pace right now, off of Palmer. And I'm kind of assuming that down below it's going to be all tier 2. So, and here's the catch: if Viper, for example, can really improve on this time, I think it'd be good for tier 1. But I think he might try and see if he's good enough for tier 2. I know I don't have exact times in front of me at the moment. Oh, Ryra's binned it!
Oh, Ryra, wow!
What a hit right there for Ryra. He's just lost it out of the 4th corner. Now he's got to let one of those guys on by, and I do believe it is Cabales, who is currently on a hot lap. Actually, he's behind right now, so Cabales is going to be on for another lap, and I think Ryra has just ghosted back to the pits, so I think that's going to delete some of his times. James Head into the pits out of, I believe, 4th place. A good showing for James Head. We'll go on board now with the Aston Martin here.
Oh, and Hellraiser has just gone above Viper for 3rd place.
Oh, he just has.
Only 16,000th behind Cabales.
A 55.7 for Hellraiser. That's something that is definitely going to be needed for Hellraiser, of course. He's definitely within danger zone of going into tier number 2, so he wants to try and get to the top tier if he can, and he's gone just about a 10th higher than Viper, but of course 16 thousandths behind Cabales. I think that's a very strong showing for Hellraiser in that number 69 Mercedes.
Indeed. He's got a lot of power behind that car, and if he can get that turned in, he can very much challenge for the top spot here with Palmer.
Go back down a little bit, right back down to, or go a little bit up to Cabales right here, who is just coming around the final couple of corners to go in this Lago Maggiore layout.
At the moment. Wonder if he can knock Palmer off. It's going to be interesting.
He's got about half a second between himself and Palmer up in front, so he's got a lot of time to find. I don't think he's on any purple sectors. He's actually, I think, just taking it lightly this time by to set himself up for the next lap. And he does improve to a 55.5, but is still 3.5 tenths down. He's extended the gap to Hellraiser, but these cars, a lot of these cars are not on their limits with the fuel, so they can push a little bit more. But I think the end of the session is going to get very, very tight, very tasty indeed, Eric.
Absolutely.
So we'll go a little bit down to the 13 of Doug Barrow, of course, with a 56.5. So he's definitely got some time to find in that Mercedes, with his teammate vastly improving on his time as well. So a 55, a 56, no improvement. 3.5 tenths down is Doug Barrow, 1.5 seconds off the pace. Hellraiser will come into the pits this time by for some fresh tires and to keep the fuel going in that number 69 Mercedes as well. Got Bo Fischadar.
Bo Fischadar, yeah, just improved on his time by a second.
57.255 is definitely going to be needed, but he's swapping 2 seconds off the pace here for this GT3 series. Oh, and he's taking a lot of track there to try and keep the thing straight. James Head in the Porsche behind, gonna feed off the toe. And this is what you want if you're gonna be James here, working your way down the gears. Looking to the inside of this 911 RSR, it's a very beautiful car. The dash right on the same as the steering wheel, and it makes it very, very convenient for you when you're turning the car, of course.
He is really making the most. Oh, he just gets a little bit sideways on the right-hander.
Oh, Bill Fishadara going a little bit onto the dirt. James said this is very much helping him out with the toe. And if I were James right now, I'd be flashing my lights at Bo Fishadara. Get out of the way, get out of the way. Oh, he's actually weaving on the straight.
He is all over the back of Bo. Wow. Are we going to see some contact?
Oh, there might
was
be
that contact?
I think there was slight contact. I was on the inside of that Porsche. And yeah, James is starting to back off. He's actually weaving a bit now, so I think he knows that lap is done. Was he on a couple of personal best sectors? He had a personal best sector 1, so he's definitely got time to find on that 56.3. And Palmer's still up front with a 55.1, so he's not been able to improve this time by. What's he on an improvement this time by? No improvement, but Cabala's had a personal best sector 3 on his best lap, so some green sectors and a couple, maybe a purple sector or two. And Cabala's looking very strong. Doug Barrow into the pits this time by for some fresh fuel. We got a lot of guys who are coming on that front straight right now, and James Head is going to be one of them to try and improve. He's got Bo Fishadara once again right ahead up front of him, and Viper now coming out of the pits as well. And Palmer, as a matter of fact, going to be coming into the pits for some fresh rubber and some fresh fuel, or not some fresh fuel, just fresh tires. Now we're going to be behind Palmer, and he's going to try and improve on this lap if he can.
A little bit of a train heading into the start of Sector 2 with quite a few cars, it looks like, trying to get to the toe of each other. Could set each other up for some good lap times.
And I think Bo Fishadara are going to be the conductor of this train, because you've got two cars. I don't think James is in the toe. He's actually giving him the flash. James to Bo Fishadara.
Get out of the way this time.
It's like, come on, I'm on a hot lap. You got about 40 minutes to go. Oh, James is taking it a bit too deep into the grass.
A bit too wide.
A bit too wide there from the back camera of Bo Fishadara. Both up nearly 4/10 on this lap. So this is looking very, very tasty strong here for Bo. James is actually going to get out of the way for Doug Barrow. So was that dirty air from the end of Bo Fishadara? I don't think James was close enough to feel the effects. I think James might have been taking it a bit too deep. What's the tire like? What's the tire conditions like for the number 8 of James? He's actually slowed up significantly, letting all that traffic on by, because I don't think he wants any bit of... He wants all the clean track as he can. Look at the amount of space that James has behind him. He could tell that he's going to try... And he wants to feed on this clean air, obviously. That's how he focuses and gets the better lap in that number 8 Porsche.
You can really see just how much these drivers wanted. James driving on the absolute edge and just giving himself every opportunity now to set himself up for this lap and try and get a good lap down.
Well, he's going to have the top guy in his sights, SMM Palmer, now going to come through for this next flying lap. Look at the times that Palmer has been setting down. 59, 58, 59. He had a 55, but it was about 5/10 out. A 56.1 for his lap. So Palmer on another flying lap here. Oh, very slow turn 2. I'm not sure if that's how the car acts, and it doesn't want to turn as much as the other mid-engine cars that we have here running today. Not a lot of improvements right now, with about 20 minutes elapsed in the session. About 40 minutes, just under 40 minutes to go here for the session. Oh, as a matter of fact, Viper, I think personal best sector 1. So I think he's going to be...
Palmer just went for the sector 1 purple.
I think that might be the glitching of the purple sector 1, so I think that's going to be a rising issue. Because I don't think it was much of an issue last time by, but it has become a recent discussion as of late. Oh, Palmer nearly on the grass there, exiting the S's. Now this long straightaway into the 3rd sector here. He's 5/10 up on his personal best, so maybe it is a good improvement for Palmer. Oh, and also Cabales, we didn't pay attention to that. 53 thousandths off of Palmer in that Aston Martin V12 Vantage GT3.
He is really closing in on Palmer. He is making a statement that he has come here and he has come here to win, really.
And be amongst those into Tier 1, which I think is going to be an absolutely aggressive one. 6/10 up for Palmer, and to the 6/10. That is a milestone for this field of drivers here. Palmer is looking very, very tasty and looking himself to be in a representative Tier 1, which is going to be the finest. And Doug Barrow, 12 thousandths behind Palmer in that Mercedes, but I don't think that's going to be lasting long. Palmer wide in the final corner, and he's going to the grass.
Does he still have enough?
I think he's still got enough. It's going to be 54.6.
He's up by 5/10. 54.65. What an incredible lap, even with that off track on the exit of the final turn.
There is going to be time to find. And he's got Hairraiser behind, who is also on an out lap at the moment.
Oh, and Viper goes faster as well. 5/10 off Palmer.
So elapsing Hairraiser and even Quabales, Viper has come out to play this time. He was struggling a fair bit in the last session. Bar 27 once again having connection issues in this session. And I'll tell you what though, Viper has got the racecraft. He wasn't really showing it as much in the second evaluation session, but I think in this final session, he knows a lot is on the line to get into that first tier, and I think he's come out to play this time by. Really, really close to Doug Barrow, and just a little bit ahead of Quabales, 11 thousandths of a second, and then 30 thousandths of a second between himself and Doug Barrow for second and third. And you can just see right there.
This is shaping up to be a really, really intense final part of the session. We still have 35 minutes to go, but what an incredible 35 minutes this can turn out.
And Quabales in the KRT SE Aston Martin V12 Vantage coming into the pits for another flying run. It's going to put about 30 liters of fuel in that tank. So it's the Aston Martin like to guzzle up a lot of fuel within about 2-3 laps of hot lapping, and then come straight back into the pits in fuel save mode. And Quabales got a lot of clean track between himself and the car in front and the car behind him. As a matter of fact, the car coming in behind him is going to be Doug Barrow, but he's going to be in for the pits as he's just run out of fuel. Viper, though, is he on an improvement this time? But no, not in any improvement, but he is going to try and go for another flying lap. We'll go on board now with the 66 of Viper. Oh, a little skating into turn 1. Got to be so careful on these racing softs. This car makes a lot of torque out of the rear end, which helps it rotate a little bit, but he's got to be very, very careful indeed. Look at the amount of turning that this car is needed with the long nose and short deck of the driver cockpit. You can really see a lot out of the front end of that AMG GT3, and it is a very potent track weapon indeed. And I think if Viper, if Viper can get himself into that Tier 1, I think he would be very, very happy about that, of course. Of course, the hashtag on the back of that car, feeling savage here today, and you can see why, because he really wants to try and push that 66 as high as he can to try and close up the gap to the guys up in front and behind, and get away from the guys behind him as well. Quabales, is he on a flying lap? No, he's about to just come on for another flying lap. James Head on a flying lap, as is Hairraiser, as is Ryraz. He's beginning another lap. Bo Fishidara on another lap as well. I think he's going to try and stay on the tail end of the number 66 Savage AMG. Oh, Viper a little bit on the gravel trap out of that deep hairpin as well. Bar 27
you can see just how tight it is at the top of the board here with, you know, Doug, Viper, and Quabales within a tenth of a second of each other, fighting for the top three here.
A big improvement for Bo Fishidara as he's 7.5 tenths up on this lap of a 56.7, so he's going to gain a fair amount of track position here as well to the guys up in front. This could be the closest evaluation session we've had all over the past couple of weeks. We've had the first evaluation session last Saturday, we had the second one last Saturday. Viper actually coming into the pits, so he's not particularly happy with that time, so I think he's going to try and go about again. And Bo Fishidara
goes up by 7 tenths.
And up into 6th place as well. That's going to be definitely needed for Bo Fishidara as well. But he's still 1.3 seconds off the pace setting Aston and Palmer in that Mercedes AMG for SRS Motorworks. And Doug Barrow, I think, still in the pits. I think he's gonna sit in the pits for a little while, just to kind of get a breather. Of course, a very, very good lap for Doug in that number 13 with the 55.1. and then Viper not that far off with a 55.2. So this is going to be very, very close, and we're only half the session the way through, Eric. Think about that.
Yeah, exactly. It's already this close with half an hour to go. I don't even know how many drivers can pull something else out to get ahead. This is already looking like the final 5 minutes, let alone half an hour.
Well, that's 5 minutes going to provide. Well, if it were the final 5 minutes, I'd be a little bit ashamed about that. But we got about final 30 minutes, which I'm looking forward to. So everyone's going to be fighting. Everyone's going to be trying to find new lines, finding new grip in their cars, and it's going to be a very crazy final 30 minutes of this session to go. And we've got about 3 minutes to go till the final 30 minutes. And what we'll do, Eric, is that at the end of the 30 minutes, we'll take a look at the times once again, and then we'll do the same with about 10 minutes to go. And then at the end of the session, we'll do about one final look after the full 60 minutes have elapsed in the session.
Oh, and Cabales has gone faster with a 154.999, just breaking in there with Palmer to the fours.
That is very interesting indeed for Cabales, because I think he's going to go for one more flying lap before going in for another set of tires as well. So this is looking very, very good for him. Oh, someone has had an incident. Who's that slow? That is Ryra, and he's down in 7th place, so he's been struggling a fair bit. He's got the pace in that Audi R8 to show, but I think at the moment it's not going very, very well for him at the moment. A couple of guys starting their couple of flying laps at the moment, and you can tell how close to the fuel limit that Cabales is going to be on in that KRT SE Group Aston Martin Vantage GT3. Ryrock going slow off the right. He wants to stay off the racing line so he can let this guy get away as well. Palmer into the pits for the Cymax crew. They have been looking very, very strong here as of late. I don't think they've paced any session here thus far, which is quite surprising because they set their expectations quite high. So if they can get one of their guys on the fastest sessions of the pre-season evaluation sessions here, that'd be very, very confidence-inducing for the Cymax crew, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking very, very good for the Cymax Racing crew. I really think they're going to be one of the top teams to beat for the top 1 split.
Now, I think they've entered a total of, I believe, 7 to 8 drivers as well. We'll go down the rankings here as we've got. We've got Palmer and Tice, which are going to be part of the junior team in the Mercedes AMG GT3. Then you've also got Keelan and Jack Mia in the GTR squad for that crew as well. And then you've got K&K Dot, who's one of the who's one of the talented Spaniards of the Cymax crew, of course. I think when I first originally started racing with K&K Dot, he wasn't a part of the Cymax crew, but of course, as soon as he joined, it's been a tall tale story for K&K Dot, and he's going to be looking very, very strong. And I believe he's got pace for Tier 1, of course. And then you've got what I think is absolutely the finest GT Sport drivers that you could bring to the Cymax crew. You've got Yure and you've got Swift, and these two, I saw them battling each other out for so much in the GT3 series before we even got to this one. And now that they're going to be teaming up for this season, they're going to be one of my picks to win this championship, of course.
Absolutely. Just on board with Viper, he's really pushing that Mercedes to everything. He's just run 11,000 slower than his best time, so he's really trying to find those extra parts to really get up in there and get along with SMM Palmer and Cabales as well.
Bar27 trying to rejoin the lobby. Of course, he's been having some internet issues, of course, but hopefully we can resolve any issues that may arise. Viper actually, I think, going to be coming into the pits. And I think, yeah, he's definitely going to be on fuel mode 6 at the moment. And Palmer and Cabales both into the pits, so our top 2 guys going to be coming into the pits into the final 30 minutes. Actually, as a matter of fact, we're beginning the final 30 minutes now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the times that we've got at the moment. It's SM Palmer still up front from the very get-go with a 54.650. Then it's Cabales who's just into the dip into the 54s, and I mean that literally with a 54.999. And he's trying to get as close as possible to the guy up front as well. Then it is Doug Barrow with a 55.172. A good showing for Doug Barrow today. Then it's Viper in the second Mercedes. 3 AMGs in the top 4. So a very strong showing for the German brand, of course, with a 55.202 for Viper. James Head in the Porsche 911 RSR GT3 just dipping into the top 5 with a 55.5. Then it is Harry with a 55.7. Ryan with a 55.8. And then Bo Fishidara with a 55.9. So I'd say from about Second all the way down to 8th, that field covered by just a whole second, and then you got Palmer with a 54.6 up in front. So Eric, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a step away from the commentator's box for a little bit. I'm going to let you take the reins of the main commentator's lead for a little bit, and I will be back in a couple of minutes.
We'll see you soon then. So currently on board with Hair Razor, who is coming around onto the final turn of his lap, putting in very strong showing. And he pulls into the pits, doesn't quite have enough in him. Moving down, and we've got Bo just coming around now onto the next lap. Really looking quite strong at the moment, trying to get everything he can out of that Corvette. Almost coming into Viper on the inside. I think Viper just put himself in the wrong place at the wrong time and almost caused a big accident there. Could have been nasty for Bo and Hair Razor behind. We have Palmer back on the track again on his out lap, looking to improve, as well as Cabales just coming around to the end of his out lap. We could be seeing some improvements from both of those guys trying to battle for the top spot in this session. Rara, all with greens in the first 3 sectors, trying to improve. Coming around, and he goes up into the 4th spot on the board with a beautiful 155.198, just short of Doug Barrow's 172. Really trying to push that R8 in its paces and jump in board with the top 3. Some of the drivers really starting to bring their A game with greens all across the board. Barr with 3 greens on his last lap, just on this lap alone is coming in with a green. Bo Fishidara with the fastest 3rd sector, all the way down in 8th place, and he's really pushing everything you can out of that Corvette. The question is, as he comes around the final corners of the track, can he get up into the higher places? Very wide exit that just puts it into the grass, but is still on the track. Very quick run. Bo moves up into 6th place. Very, very tight lap with a 155.5. All drivers just starting to bring their A game now. We have Barr 27th down in 9th position, who's in a gorgeous Aston Martin, the Red Bull livery. Currently is up on his personal best with 2 green sectors in this lap. Again, Barr coming around the final corner, really showing to get some more pace out of this Aston. Very nice exit on the corner. Down on 166. Viper with the fastest 1st sector of the track, currently 2700s up on his personal best, trying to get up into those top places at the moment. He's on course to do it, but he is coming up to some traffic. Maybe he can get a little tow from Hair Razor and Bo Fishidara, who are both just ahead. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to get any tow, unless one of them makes a small mistake on the next few corners. Losing a little bit of time on Sector 3, but Viper is still up by 2/10. If he can hold it together, he can really break in and try and get into the top 3 positions. And as we're saying, I've just noticed Palmer has improved again with a 154.27, fastest final sector of the day. And Viper does improve with a 155.044. Very impressive showing from Viper, losing a little bit of time in the last 2 sectors, but made up for it with the first two. Bar again improving to try and get back up into the standings. 33-2 in his first sector. And currently it's looking very tight for the second and third spot on this leaderboard, with Cabales, Viper, Doug and Ryra all within 0.2 of a second for second, third, fourth and fifth. It's shaping up to be a very intense final 20 minutes as we approach that 40-minute mark. Not a lot of action happening at the moment, just on board with Bo Fishidara on his outlap, seeing if he can improve. Palmer coming back into the pits now. Really trying to improve again. I wonder if he's trying to get into the 153s. That would be a very impressive feat if he manages to do that. He would be then over a second ahead of second place currently. Cabales with that 154 999 still hasn't improved on that yet, but he's very much shaping up to do the best job that he can. Come on board with Bo Fishidara in that Corvette. He's coming around the final turn on an outlap now. Not much between him and James Head in 7th place in that green and white Porsche, looking very strong in the middle of the circuit through the S-bends. Bo is a little bit sketchy coming into turn 2. Can't quite get the Corvette stable under brakes. Oh, and Viper goes up into second. Does he? Oh, no. Why was Viper looking like coming up into second with a 155 flat? Oh, Cabales must have left the track. So Viper is still provisionally third. Ryra with a best of a purple sector, 32.3 for sector 1, coming around to the final. Can he improve at all? No, 0.3 down. Very good in the first sector, but losing him in the final 3. Just can't get that Audi shaped up to improve on his times, though he is giving it everything he's got. Hair Razor currently with a very good time. Even on the outlap, his third sector is looking very strong, so Hair Razor could be shaping up to try and get within a second of Palmer and challenge for a top 4 position. He is 1.4 seconds off, but should he be able to find the pace in that Mercedes, he would be able to challenge. Riding on board with Palmer, who is back in the driver's seat and still pushing, still trying to get everything he can out of his Mercedes AMG. As he comes through the center of the circuit, up and over the sausage curb. I don't think the undercarriage of that Mercedes will be making him for that. And he goes up. No, that's just the glitch of the track showing the purple sectors, but not actually being so. Cabales deciding he isn't going to be with us for the final 20 minutes of this session. He feels that he's done everything he can to get the most out of his Aston Martin and is going to park it for the rest of this session. That leaves a very good opportunity for Viper and Doug Barrow to improve and try and push on each other. Rara not far out from that third position, sitting in fourth currently with his 155.198. Most of the drivers currently on the track looking to improve. As we go on board with Hair Razor, who is still trying to find more time out of that AMG, but not quite getting it. Last lap 1.3 seconds slower than his best. Maybe he's trying some different lines, different techniques to try and see what works. At the moment, it doesn't seem like it's doing very well for him. Viper coming into the end of Sector 3. He is green with Sector 2. So we'll see if he can go faster. Oh, he must have had an accident. That's 12 seconds off. I don't quite think I caught what happened to Viper. But he was showing good pace through the second sector. Doug pulling over and just outside the hairpin on his outlap. Looks like he's trying to get a little bit of breathing room for himself for his flying lap. He does currently have Hair Razor coming right up behind him at breakneck speed. Maybe trying to give his teammate a little bit of a tow for the end of his lap. He is currently only just under a tenth of a second slower than his current personal best. I think this is a real team effort to try and tow that blue and white Mercedes of Hair Razor to a faster time. Will it pay off though as they round the final corner? Can Doug give his teammate enough? I don't think it's going to happen though as they both pull into the pits. Palmer starting his next lap currently. Very good exit down the hill towards the start of Sector 2. And he's only 0.06 of a second behind with the outside tyres perilously close to the grass upon the entry to the corner. He's really giving everything you can to try and get the most out of that AMG. Looks like he's currently on track to go even faster in the second sector as we approach the timing line. Still under a tenth slower. Remember though, on his fastest lap before, he did just go wide at the final turn, so does he have enough in him? Oh, and he just goes wide at the hairpin onto the sand trap. Loses all the time he just was trying to find. As sideways action at Lago Maggiore will not help you. And of course, yep, 2.2 seconds slower than his current best. He will not be pleased with that effort.
Hello, Eric. I am back. Hopefully I didn't miss too much.
Welcome back, Trevor. No, not too much. We do have Palmer with a 154.2 has improved again, trying to break away from the rest of the field as much as he can.
I did catch that. Yeah, I saw that lap, and I was like, what a lap for Palmer. He's going to be, if this is the pace that he's going to show right ahead of the first round of the season, he's going to look very, very strong for the first tier, and this is what Cymax absolutely have signed Palmer to do and show that he's got the pace, he's got the racecraft, and he can go out and win championships for this team, of course. And this Cymax team have looked very, very strong from the get-go of the season, even as far as discussing off the season before even these evaluations actually begun. So this team looking absolutely strong here today. Kobala is also saying that his final time is going to be a 54.999, so Still good enough for second place, but just ahead of Viper 12V, who's really trying to dial in some more time. He did improve to a 55 flat. I did see that lap for a little bit, but he's really trying to get the most out of this AMG, and he's really trying to close the gap between Palmer and himself, because that 7/10 gap, that's like a mile in terms of raw pace. 2/10 improvement up for Viper, so hopefully he can keep it going in the right direction. Still on the curb, hard on the brakes, keep it close and tight to the apex. A little wide there, but I think that's a bit of tolerable for this final corner here, and this is going to be the money shot right here. How hard can he push in this final corner? Oh, just on the
very nice exit there.
Very
as
nice.
He comes to like,
this is good lap coming in for Viper, and it's going to be an improvement.
He improves.
54.727. He's going to be very pleased with that. Although about 4.5 tenths down on Palmer, that is a very good lap. And he's put himself a further 4 tenths up on Doug Barrow behind, and Viper going to be extremely pleased, and I believe he's just run out of fuel. What a lap for Viper.
Well, he really was pushing everything he could to try and get ahead of Cabales, who was provisionally in second before him. Doug Barrow is currently in fourth as Cabales being off track, not being shown in the standings, but Viper now going up into second. He will be very, very pleased with that effort.
And this is part of the discussion that I said earlier in the stream here, that Viper, he's on the jagged edge of going to either Tier 1 or Tier 2. This is definitely, and most certainly, helped him out in terms of raw pace. He's definitely going to be looking himself into Tier 1, obviously. Of course, I'll tell you this right now. Qualifying craft is way different than racecraft. Let me tell you what right now. Qualifying, you got to set one lap pace. Race pace, it's all about staying ahead of the pack and being at the front at the right time. I think Viper...
Absolutely. I think what Viper is trying to do here, he doesn't want to settle for that Tier 2. He really wants to push it with the big boys and challenge in that Tier 1 bracket.
And I'll tell you what, though, from the previous seasons that he had, he can make incredibly good starts from rather further back or mid-pack starting positions. So if he can keep this up and go into Tier 1, like he's definitely looking like he's going towards right now, and use that ability to save the fuel on the races and make a great race starts, he could be looking at a very, very good contender for this Tier 1, of course.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anything happens in racing, and at the end of the day, if you've got the pace and you've got the consistency, you can win a race.
Palmer now on another flying lap here to improve on his really blistering 54.2. And I think, just to reference, I think T5 Black for the Team Simpact Racing guys, I think they were able to, I believe, get into the 53s. Palmer just by 0.005 of a second on his lap.
He's pushing everything he can out of that AMG.
He's really trying to push as much as he can. Hopefully he can keep it on the right track. Using a little bit of the grass out of that second to left-hand corner. I think that's a bit tolerable, of course, because I think that's a lot of area that people like to run. Palmer, going a bit wide, just
really?
a little.
Everything he's
really
got.
Wide. Can he improve this time by? No, 5,000 short.
5,000 off. Incredible.
You cannot make this up any bit. You cannot.
If that's
make that
not
up.
some dedication to try and go faster and getting only 5,000 slow aids, has he reached the peak, or is he just not getting that extra little bit?
He's got a bit of fuel left in the tank. I can tell you that much. So I think he's going to try and go back to the pits, and he's going to go for possibly at least 2 runs. I think that's the most amount that he can get out of that car. Viper, I can tell you at the moment, is still on that same amount of fuel, which is basically non-existent. He's on his reserve fuel right now, going 50 miles an hour on the track right now, and I think he's going to try and go for 2 more improvements on that time as well.
Absolutely, and I think I'll just draw your attention to the fact we just passed the 10-minute remaining mark at the 50 minutes, so we'll go back over the current best laps in the lineup, keeping in mind of the 154.999 that was set by Cabales before he parked his car.
That is very, very true. So we got Palmer up in front with the 54.274, a very blistering lap. You can just see the last lap, 54.279. Palmer really on it here today. Viper at the moment in second place with a 54.727 on the lap that where he needed it most, was literally pushing everything out of that car as much as he can. So a good improvement for him. Cabales, like we said, not in the timing boards, but of course, Bet 54.999 in the Aston Martin with the KRT SE group puts himself in third. And the Costa Racing SDM Alliance in fourth place with a 55.172 for Doug Barrow. And then Ryra, not that far off, 26 thousandths of a difference between himself and Ryra in with a 55.198 for Ryra. And then Bo Fishadara, we didn't catch that as well, improving to sixth place with a 55.502 in the Corvette.
Nice,
and the car that, and a driver that we've been kind of sleeping on this entire session. So it seems like he finally found some pace out of that car. James Head in sixth place with a 55.560. I think he's been at that time pretty much all day, I'm pretty sure. And I think someone just improved in the hands. I believe Hair Racer. I think 55.7. No. Bar 27 with a 55.605, and then Hair Racer in ninth place with a 55.705 for this final session. About 8 minutes to go left in the session. Palmer gonna let all this traffic on by.
I have to say that look how tight it is between the last four places on the board, just over 0.2 of a second separating the four drivers. There's not much in it there, Trevor.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room for error with about less than 10 minutes to go left in this final evaluation session before we get ready for the first round of SRS GT3 action, wherever that may be. I don't know off the top of my head. Something to discuss with the admin team, of course, after the race. So let me see here where I can find the standings and results. That's what I'm oh, never mind. That's definitely not what I'm going to have had. So let me see if I could find the yeah, I'm not able to find much of a entry of a list for the schedule. Let me see if I can find that while we got just about under 7 minutes to go left in the session. Oh yes, here we go. Here we go. We've got the GT3 season. The first round of the season next week going to be on at August 16th at Monza for 60 minutes in Milano, Italy. It's for 11 corners with about 5.793 kilometers of pure straight line speed action at Monza. So I think that's going to be very, very interesting for a lot of these drivers, of course, in Tier 1 and especially in Tier 2, most important of all as well. Just about 6 minutes.
Just coming on to his lap now to try and improve again on that 274. We'll see if he's got enough in the tank to pip himself and maybe even break into those threes.
Ryra with a 54.991, so he's jumped up into third in the session. So like we said, Ryra
8 thousandths faster.
8 thousandths faster.
Wow, then Cabales. Just knocking Cabales out of the top 3.
Yeah, Cabales we thought had a very, very good lap, but I think give or take a little bit of time, and all of a sudden you're seeing these times really start to tumble down in the final 6 minutes left of the session. So Ryra, like we said, he's shown the pace, but with a 54.991.
And Viper is currently on a personal best at the moment. It shows coming into the final.
Look at the fuel level that he's showing.
Again?
Look at the fuel level he's showing. He is really close on fuel. Really low. Can the fuel hold out? Yes!
He
54!
improves with a 5.7!
So Viper once again showing he's got the pace, and I think with the time and the fuel that he's got, I think that might be... I
think he's pretty safe for the Tier 1 split there. I think he's done the job. I
think that's definitely going to be it for him right there. But there are other racers on track, including this man right here, Palmer, which I think is going to be on a personal best this time by. No, he's actually 3 seconds down, so he's definitely had an improvement of some, not an improvement, an error of some sort on the track. And Viper, like we said, running out of fuel. I think that's his run over right there.
I think that's the secret strategy that Viper has got. Run out of fuel after your lap and try and get those extra ones in. If he's only finishing with, what, milliliters of fuel in those tanks, that's just incredible tactics to try and get everything you can out of that car.
Palmer back into the pits, which is, I assume, is going to be for one final run here for the number 24, the pace-sitting number 24, which has pretty much been on top of the session pretty much from the get-go of this third and final evaluation session. So looking very, very strong here today as of late. So a message from Tice, the main steward of the SRS Motorsport League. Please do not run out of fuel on purpose. I don't think he's trying to run it out of fuel on purpose, but I think he's just really, really trying to get the most amount out of the car as possible. But as long as he's staying off the track when there are other cars coming, I don't think it should be.
Yeah, that is quite a safety issue. If he is running out of fuel after his lap, say early on into the next lap, then he does pose a significant risk to the other cars coming around behind him if he crawls along. So if he does have the common sense to stay out of the way, he can do well, but really just keep on top of that.
Ryrock going to be in for, I assume, one final go in the number 6 Petronas sponsored Audi R8 LMS GT3. Of course, not running the Evo package for the 2019 model, but of course the 2015 model, which has had so much success, presumably in the formal Blancpain GT World
I don't know if you've noticed,
Europe
Doug
Series.
Barrett is really trying to give everything he can to try and improve. His last lap, less than a 10th off his best lap, so he's really trying to get the most out of that.
Oh, he's
AMG.
actually hit the number 66. I don't think that was intentional in any way, but there was a fair bit of contact. Was there damage on the 66? No damage sustained that I'm seeing. But like you said, Eric, Doug Barrow giving it absolutely his all in 5th place at the moment. Of course, he's so close off that 54.
And this is going to be the final lap, I think, for SMM Palmer crossing the line with less than 2 minutes to go now. Really going to be the make or break moment for the British driver to see if he can finally get into the threes. I think that's what he's gunning for at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking all over Palmer here. You got about 1:40 to go left in this session. As a matter of fact, I think he might have room for one more lap as well. So I think this is going to be close. 31 thousandths up for Palmer out of the first sector alone, and he has been the man that has been controlling he's been controlling the pace all session long. We can tell you what, right now, his racecraft over the past 2 seasons of racing that I've seen him race has definitely improved, and this is certainly giving himself a lot of confidence in that car. Viper into the pits, which I assume he's going to try and get around for one final time.
Ooh, and Palmer does lose a little bit of time in the second sector, losing about 8 hundredths of a second.
That is a bit close, because I think he was 35 hundredths of a second up in the first sector, unless he's not able to find much time at all. So we'll take you any more improvements that we could find at the moment. Palmer on a personal best second one. James Head on a very good first and second sector.
I was about to say James Head.
Coming through for the final corner is, and he will get one more lap, so he is going to try and go for, I believe, one final lap. He does improve. He does improve to 5th place, and that's something he definitely needed. And is he going to try and go for one more lap? There is still time. We've only got about 5 seconds to go. He's actually going to call it quits right there. So the gloves come off.
I think he knows. He just gave it everything he had in that final shot and really, really just got it across the line with that 55-1. Incredible stuff from James.
And so the session has expired. Now you want to finish your laps. Of course, finish the lap and park it up into turn number 1. A couple of people actually going into the pits. Bar 27 actually taking a tighter line. But is it going to be enough? No, not enough for Bar 27. That's going to be day over for him. Airraiser now going to be trying to improve on his lap at the moment. Viper and Ryra actually going to be trying to get an improvement as well. Oh, he gets
just getting the inside wheels on the curb.
And a penalty to kick him in the nuts. And a penalty to kick him in the nuts as well. And so Viper will come through for second in the final evaluation session, and he needed that. He definitely needed that in the 66. And so it is going to be the 24 of SMN Palmer for the Slimax Mineral crew, pacing the final evaluation session, of course, in dominant fashion, in some way, 0.3 of a second between himself and Viper, of course. Ryrock going to come home for third place in the Audi. Cobales in fourth place for the KRT SE Aston Martin. Oh, and a big hit for James Head at the end right there. And he also gets fifth place as well. Doug Barrow as well, just missing out on sixth place as well. And he was doing so well, but of course, unfortunately, the pace caught up later on as well. Bo Fishigara in seventh place, Bar 27 in eighth, and then Hairraiser in ninth place as well. Eric, what a session that was, mate. That was very exciting.
That was some incredible driving from some of these guys. Palmer with an absolute blistering effort. Viper really coming into his own with that 54.5 in the final 10 minutes of the session to really stomp home his intent of the upcoming season to really push it with the big boys and try and get in there. Ryra even doing very well to snag third place out of the hands of who was it in that was with the 999?
That was Cobales.
Cabales, thank you very much, Trevor. Stealing that from Cabales to leave him high and dry in fourth place. James Head doing very well just to snag into the top 5 with that mid-engine Porsche with the 55.1. Not far off Doug Barrow with that 55.172 in the final minutes of the round. Really did very well to get that AMG up to par and just bringing it home. Bo Fishidara with the 155.5, not able to improve too much in the last few laps of the session, but he did do a very good job of wrestling that Corvette around the circuit. As much as a good looking Corvette it was, I don't think the livery was enough to get him across the line as much as he wanted.
And look at the final lap for James Head, most importantly as well. 3 personal best sectors is what propelled him up into the top 5 of the session. So a good running for the mid-engine Porsche 911 RSR GT3 platform as well. And James is going to be very, very happy about that, most importantly.
Indeed.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy that final evaluation session here at Lagumari for the SRS GT3 series, leave a like, leave a comment, and if you want to follow us for our 9-round venture of the flagship SRS GT3 series for Tier 1s and Tier 2, follow us and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow our Twitter as well if you want to stay up to date as well. But ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy that final situation, I've been joined by STM_R or Eric, and I've been STM_RDZ, and we'll see you guys next week for the first round of the SRS GT3 series.